Welcome back to All Things Marine Life, where we explore the fascinating world beneath the waves. Today we're venturing into the tropical reefs of the Indo-Pacific and the Red Sea to learn all about one of the most imposing and intriguing fish out there, the Titan Triggerfish. Why are they known to chase away intruders like divers, and how do they hunt for urchins and crustaceans? And what's all this talk about a built-in fish lock system? Stick around as we dive in to all things Titan Triggerfish. The Titan Triggerfish, scientifically known as Ballastoides viridescens, is one of the largest members of the triggerfish family. They can grow up to a whopping 30 inches long, about the length of a small baseball bat, and they can weigh several pounds. Found in the clear, warm waters of the Red Sea and Indo-Pacific region, these fish thrive around coral reefs and sandy seafloors, usually inhabiting depths of up to 160 feet. They have a distinctive oval-shaped body with a strong jaw that's equipped with noticeably powerful, almost human-like teeth. Their name triggerfish comes from the unique trigger-like spines on their dorsal fins, which we'll learn more about in just a moment. To understand how the Titan Triggerfish became such an impressive reef inhabitant, let's take a quick look at their evolutionary background. Triggerfish belong to the family Ballistidae, which evolved tens of millions of years ago in coral reef ecosystems. Over time, specialized jaws and tough scales gave them a competitive edge, allowing them to feed on hard-shelled prey like crustaceans and sea urchins without too much trouble. The Titan Triggerfish in particular has adapted to be one of the top demolition experts of the reef floor. They use powerful jaw muscles and teeth to break apart coral and sea urchins, in turn shaping the reef environment as they feed. While this might seem destructive, it also helps to keep sea urchin populations in check and recycles coral rubble, which can benefit the overall health of the reef itself. One of the coolest features of triggerfish is their dorsal fin locking mechanism. The Titan Triggerfish sports 3 dorsal spines on its back. The first spine is tall and can stand upright, while the second spine acts like a trigger that locks or unlocks the first spine. When threatened by predators or just feeling grumpy, which Titan Triggerfish are known for, they'll wedge themselves into tight crevices, raise that first dorsal spine, and effectively lock themselves into place. This makes it extremely difficult for a predator to yank them out of their hiding spot. Once the danger is past, they can unlock the first spine by pressing down on the second spine, just like pulling a trigger to release a latch. Feeding time for a Titan Triggerfish can be quite the spectacle. Their favorite meals include crustaceans, sea urchins, mollusks, and even bits of coral. If they're not breaking shells open with those powerful jaws, they're using a clever trick, squirting jets of water from their mouths to stir up the sand and expose hidden prey like crabs or worms. They'll even flip over rocks and pieces of coral rubble with their fins in search of a tasty snack lurking underneath. Some divers have compared them to underwater bulldozers, moving large chunks of reef debris around as they hunt. Now, we can't talk about the Titan Triggerfish without addressing that giant fishy elephant in the room: their reputation for aggression. Many divers have found themselves on the receiving end of a Titan Triggerfish charge. Trust me, it's not a pleasant experience. While they're not always aggressive, they become especially territorial during the breeding season. Think of them like a protective homeowner, but with an over-the-top security system and really sharp teeth. If you accidentally wander into their nesting zone, they'll defend it by all means necessary. They can move surprisingly quickly through the water using their powerful dorsal and anal fins for propulsion, and they're not afraid to deliver a painful bite if they feel threatened or if you're too close to their nest. Titan Triggerfish live solitary lives typically, but they come together in sandy patches of coral rubble to mate. To set the mood, the female will use her mouth to blow strong jets of water onto the seabed, excavating a burrow or a nest in which she'll lay her eggs. These nests can contain thousands of tiny eggs, and once they're laid, both parents become incredibly protective. In fact, many unsuspecting snorkelers and divers have found themselves in the line of fire when they unknowingly cross into a Titan Triggerfish's territory during the nesting season. The parents guard their eggs fiercely until they hatch, which usually happens in just a few days, at which point the tiny larvae will drift with the plankton in the current before eventually settling down on the reef floor. So, with all that toughness and aggression, you might be wondering, who dares to mess with the Titan Triggerfish? Larger predators such as reef sharks or large groupers might occasionally prey on them, especially on the juveniles. But thanks to their strong teeth, tough skin, and that signature trigger lock spine system, triggerfish are generally not the easiest meal in the sea. They've evolved multiple strategies to avoid being eaten. Aside from aggressively chasing away threats, they can also wedge themselves into small crevices and lock themselves into place, forming an almost impenetrable barrier with their spines. With such formidable defense tactics, it's no wonder they've earned such respect and maybe a bit of fear from other creatures in the ocean, as well as from divers especially. Currently, Titan triggerfish aren't classified as endangered. They're fairly widespread in their range, but certain local populations are impacted by overfishing, habitat destruction, and coral reef damage. In some coastal communities, Titan triggerfish are part of the local diet. However, they can sometimes carry ciguatera toxin, which is a reef-related toxin that can cause food poisoning in humans. Overall, conservation efforts aimed at preserving coral reef habitats also help maintain healthy Titan triggerfish populations. By protecting reef ecosystems, we ensure these mesmerizing fish can continue performing their role as reef bulldozers and very protective parents. As we wrap up, here's a couple of fun facts that show just how unique these reef brutes really are. Those teeth never stop growing. A Titan triggerfish's teeth keep growing throughout its life, so they need to keep them ground down on coral and shellfish. It's basically their version of a dentist appointment. They're coral gardeners, kind of. Well, their habit of breaking up coral might look destructive, but it can create new habitats for smaller organisms and help to cycle nutrients on the reef. They love a good old facial scrub. Titan triggerfish have been observed nudging themselves against coral or sandy bottoms, possibly to scrape off parasites or dead skin, like an underwater spa treatment. They can also be sneaky thieves. Some divers report seeing Titan triggerfish snatch away unsuspecting prey from smaller fish or even rummaging through dive gear. Watch out for your fins. They have a short fuse. If you see one raise its first dorsal spine and start swimming in on a tight circle or directly at you, that's your cue to back away quickly. Recent studies have taken a closer look at how Titan triggerfish impact reef structures. Scientists are uncovering interesting data on how their feeding activity might help control sea urchin populations, which, when left unchecked, can cause severe damage over coral reefs. There's also emerging research on their social behavior during breeding seasons. Some preliminary observations suggest that certain pairs cooperate in ways we've never fully understood before, possibly rotating guard duty or coordinating nest building. While there's still a lot to learn, one thing's for sure: the Titan triggerfish is a key player in reef ecosystems, and its fascinating habits and bold attitudes make it an ever-popular subject of marine research. Thanks for swimming with me through the world of all things Titan triggerfish. From their incredible jaws and spine lock system to their tough parenting style and reef-shaping habits, they truly are one of the most fascinating and sometimes misunderstood fish in the sea. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode of All Things Marine Life. And let me know in the comments, would you dare to swim near a Titan triggerfish nest, or have you already swam near one?